Once upon a time in a kingdom far, far away, there was a silly, happy cat named Toasty. He was a large orange tabby with thick, fluffy fur like a warm loaf of bread. And he lived inside a bakery where the ovens were always on and the smell of fresh bread made him sleepy. So he would spend his days napping on the windowsills or dozing on top of the loaves as they cooled. The bakers would often find him there and they didn't mind at all. In fact, they liked having a big ginger cat lounging in their shop because it made their customers smile. But one morning, a customer came in and spotted Toasty curled up on a freshly baked sourdough. She gasped and said, "Oh, look, a kitty cat made out of bread." Then she called over to her friend, "Come here, you have to see this." Soon everyone in the shop was staring at Toasty and trying to figure out how he could be a cat and a loaf at the same time. "Well, I don't know what kind of sorcery this is," said the baker, "but if we cut this kitty open, we're gonna find some deliciousness inside." And before Toasty could make a run for it, they scooped him up and started to slice into the sourdough. "No, no, no," cried Toasty, but no one could hear him over the sound of their sauce. And just when he thought it was the end for him, a little girl with pigtails jumped up onto a stool and shouted, "Stop, please. I know how we can find out what's inside without hurting the kitty." Everyone stared at her for a moment. Then the baker asked, "Oh, really? And how would you suggest we do that?" "Well," she said, taking a deep breath, "we could just ask him." The whole shop went silent. Then the baker gently placed Toasty down on the counter and asked, "Did we hurt you?" "Nope," meowed Toasty, licking his paws. "You almost sliced me up, but I guess that's okay. Now could somebody please get this bread off of me? It's getting a little itchy." Everybody stared at each other for a moment, then burst into laughter. The baker picked up the sourdough and handed it to the little girl. "Here, why don't you take this home and we'll get this cat cleaned up." She took the bread and skipped out the door. Then the baker poured a bucket of water into a big bowl, put in some cat food and gave Toasty a brush to clean himself with. As he was washing his face, he noticed a woman holding up her phone. "Can I take a picture of your tail? It looks exactly like a French bulldog." And Toasty thought that was pretty funny. So he stuck his butt in her face and she took the picture. Then he chased her around the shop while she tried to take more photos. By the time they were done, his fur was completely clean. But as he dozed on the windowsill to dry off, he couldn't help but feel a little sad. Usually he loved showing off his fluffy tail, but now it looked plain and boring. A little while later, the woman who took his picture came back with a package from the little girl. Inside was the sourdough he had been napping on, and when she handed it to him, he noticed something strange. It had white flour all over it. He dipped his head down and inhaled the fresh, yeasty scent. Then he rolled around in the flour until he was completely covered. When he looked up, everybody in the shop was staring at him. "What are you doing, Toasty?" asked the baker. "I don't know," he replied, batting at the flour on his back. "This feels kind of itchy." Then he leaped off the counter and ran over to the woman. "Could you take a picture of me now? I think I look much better." And so she did. After a very photo shoot, he trotted over to the little girl and meowed, "Thank you for saving me from being sliced up." "It was no problem," she replied, scratching him behind the ears. "But next time you want to take a nap, maybe try the baguettes. They're always out back and nobody ever eats them." From that day forward, Toasty stuck mostly to napping on the baguettes, even though he still had a soft spot for the sourdough. And whenever he got a little too itchy, he knew just where to roll around and get the perfect amount of flour on his fur. And that's why, to this day, the bakers are careful not to slice up any loaves until they check for cats first. The end.